Hello, Online English 12 kids. It's Mrs. Miller, of course, with your plan for this week, which is week 7 of the semester out of 18. Or I think you guys have 17 because you finish early. This week you only have 3 things you're getting points for, so not too bad. So just a helpful hint, hopefully. I mean, some of you are doing this already, but since you're online, you get the plan Sunday nights, like today, or Monday morning for the week. So then you have the whole week until Friday at midnight to complete the work, and you get to choose when you want to do that. However, some of you are asking questions on assignments, which I love, but after they are due because you didn't start doing them until like 10 o'clock on Friday. So maybe it would be helpful for you to just make a plan, watch my video, see what's due, and then decide how you want to attack it. And I do welcome questions. I mean, that's one thing I miss about, having you guys online is being able to answer your questions. Anyway, so you're starting this week off. We're continuing to plow through Unit 2, which is gender roles. This actually is the Book of Canterbury Tales. As you can see, it's a lot. And you're only reading 2 of the tales. So you're really, it's hard to get the gist of the whole thing and an appreciation for it. But so you read The Wife of Bath's Tale. That's the most famous tale. Oh, by the way, some of your answers to the questions were clearly you used resources because you were quoting in Old English, and we didn't read the Old English version because it's really hard to understand it. We read the translation. So just a reminder to have some integrity. And also, you're only helping yourself when you struggle with these things on your own and ask questions and then learn them. Anyway, integrity. Do the right thing even when no one's watching. Plus, you sleep better that way. Take it from me. All right, so The Wife of Bath's Tale was kind of a creepy story. Like, some of my female students in particular have had some real issues with the ending of it. It starts off with a knight raping a girl. Well, first of all, there's the banter back and forth between the wife of Bath and the friar and the summoner. And the friar basically calls her a windbag and says she talks too much. And you only get to just hear the very beginning of that because your textbook took just an excerpt of that. And then to get back at him, she tells a story at the beginning of her tale about a friar that basically is demonic and a huge hypocrite. And she does that on purpose. And then she gets going with her story. And it's a knight who rapes a girl and he's supposed to die and be executed. But the queen says, you know what? Obviously, he doesn't know what women want. I'm going to send him on a quest. So this turns into your classic quest story. He has a year and a day to come back and tell her what it is women want in a relationship. And if he's wrong, he's going to be executed. And so that's how the story starts. And then he's wigging out about that. And he basically is going door to door asking people, what do they think women want in a relationship? And he gets all these answers, like tons of different answers. And as the story is being told, the wife of Bath gives her own opinion on some of them. For example, she agrees with some people that tell the knight, yeah, women like to be flattered. We really like that. She also says that the story about Midas, she used that as an example to prove that women can't keep secrets. Because one of the things the knight was told was that women like to be thought of as being trustworthy. And she laughs about that. And she's like, women can't keep secrets. And then she tells the Midas story about that. So this is a frame story. There's a lot going on. It's not just her tale. It's her character interjecting. And then keep in mind, too, this is Geoffrey Chaucer, a man writing this from the Middle Ages, creating this female character who is way ahead of her time as far as having a voice and confidence. And I think I mentioned that before. Anyway, he finally meets this old lady, like super old. And she says, you know what? I know the answer to this question, but you have to promise me if I'm right, you do whatever I say. So they go back to the queen, and basically it's a twofold answer. Women want sovereignty, the same sovereignty over her husband as over her lover. That's kind of complicated, which means power. And so when I teach this in person, I ask the class, what do you think the difference is between like a woman who's been married for a long time and before they got married? Like, what's that look like? So basically, one of the answers is that women want to be pursued after they're in a relationship like they were before. Flowers, effort, that kind of thing. And the other thing is equality in the relationship, which again is ahead of its time for the Middle Ages. There were no rights for women really back then. So those are the two things. And then, of course, the queen says, that's right. And then the old lady says, buddy, you promised me whatever I wanted, and I want you to marry me. And of course, it gets very funny if you've read it. He wigs out like he does not want to marry this lady. He tries to hide, and the queen says, you have to keep your word. And then they are taken to the bedroom because in this time period, people were expected to consummate their marriage, like after they got married. And so he's literally in bed with this lady and rolling around, just freaked out, like, groaning and moaning and saying, this is awful. I can't stand you. You're ugly. You're poor. You're not even close to my station in life. And then she goes on a defense of why it's good to be poor, why it's good to have an ugly old wife. And then she talks about how he's not a gentleman, even though he's in a higher class, because look what he did. And then at the end, she wears him down and he's like, whatever, okay. And then that was the quest. That was the test that he passed by accepting her for as she is. So then she turns into a beautiful young lady. So that's where some of my students have a real issue with that story, because they're like, what? So that's The Wife of Bath's Tale. And of course, you can see why that's in the gender role unit, because it's all about women and what women want. And it's kind of an entertaining story. The next one you're going to read, and that's all out of all these, there's a lot more tales, is The Pardoner's Tale. This one's a close read, and it's the longest close read that you have for the whole semester. And I'm giving you 42 possible points, 3 points a page, because it's long. So my in-person classes, they get 2 days to complete this, because if you do all the steps, it's very, very time consuming. I would say, in my opinion, of course, you don't have to agree with me, I think the story itself is maybe better than The Wife of Bath's Tale, because it doesn't go off on tangents like hers did. But a partner was a real person back in the Middle Ages who basically was a corrupt person working for the church, and they would sell forgiveness. So you just buy like a certificate signed from the Pope, and supposedly that's your ticket into heaven, which is not biblical at all. And this guy knows he's scamming people, and he brags about it. And then the story he tells is an example to the people that are with him on this pilgrimage of what he does when he travels around stealing people's money. So it's a story about being greedy. Lots of irony there because he's greedy. I think you might enjoy it. There's also there's cartoon versions of almost all of these tales if you go to YouTube and want to be entertained. Also, I have the book if you want to borrow it from me when I come back. I'm still on track for coming back in April, but can't really do much. It's weekly doctor appointments for me right now. I know it's maybe not something you want to know about. I can't really lift my arms over my head or do anything, so that's weird, but I can type and grade stuff. All right, so that'll finish up Canterbury Tales for you, The Pardoner's Tale. And again, sadly, that's all you're going to read because our class has a smattering of different things. After that, you're reading a poem called My Father's Sadness. A lot of my students really like it. It's in your textbook, and you're going to be analyzing it using a worksheet that I call a T-Plat. You want to really focus on the literary devices that you hear in there. There's a lot of them. So that would be like metaphors, similes, personification. A lot of my students, again, they really like this poem because it's about a little kid looking at her struggling single dad, and then writing about it in a poem and how sad she is for him because he's lonely and basically working himself to death. Usually when someone leaves in the family, it's the mom. The dad, and the mom is the single person. But in this story, the mom has left. And it's actually partly true. The author's mom did that to them. She took off and the dad had all these kids. All right, so that's a poem. That's the second thing you work on. And then you have your vocab words to study. And then I'll release a blank document like I did before. I'm enjoying your sentences. You guys are doing a pretty good job. And that should be easy points, I'm thinking, in the test category. Again, I know I talked a long time. Sorry. We're just in the middle of Unit 2, really. We're going to continue for the next week or so. And then at the end of that, you will have an open note literature test. And then this time also an essay test. So those are two separate grades, one in the writing book and one in the test group. So that would really help your grade if you're struggling, if you do well on those two things at the end. And then after Unit 2, we read Hamlet by Shakespeare and then the novel. So we're really kind of marching through some stuff. All right. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you had a great week off. And let me know if you have any questions. Bye.